Good morning, people! Or should I say good afternoon, because it's going up for 2 o'clock. The frog's back in charge. And I'm back at the workshop. I've just reduced an old door from outside into a pile of firewood, because the firewood's taken some stick over the Christmas period, because I've been taking loads home and burning it in our little wood burner at home. It was a request from my 2 daughters. It keeps the place jolly, they said, and it certainly does warm it up. So I've just reduced a door which I thought was softwood, which actually turns out to be hardwood. So there you go, so that's going to burn nice. And I'm back on with the tractor, although you wouldn't think so, because I've just piled stuff over it. So I'm going to crack on with this fuel filter, and when I have some more to show you, as usual, I will bring you back and give you the benefit of my experience. Other than that, I don't think anything to tell you. The boilers are light, it's nice and warm in here, thank goodness. It only takes about, sort of like 30 minutes, and we're getting good usable heat through here. It really does pick up quick. I'm very pleased with it. But I always say that. God, you must get bored of me saying that. Right, I'm going to crack on, and I'll bring you back when there's something to show you. Bye for now, folks. Right, folks, 3:45. We've got 2 nice front-fitted flanges. I haven't quite sussed out how I'm going to weld those yet. Very, very carefully is the answer. It might even be better, to, seeing as this is galvanised sheet, to try and solder them, but you see, I've tack welded that. No. Here, I've tack welded that successfully. That's the same thickness tin on the inside, but this is much thicker, and we've got a thicker base to work on. So you just start your weld on the thick stuff and just catch the edge of the thin stuff, and it works. Does a good job, but whether I can do that there or not, I don't know. But there we go. Anyway, we've got the bridge made, we've got the bolt put in, we've got the 2 tubes made to put the air cleaners onto, and it's all gone rather well. It's lovely and warm in the workshop, but it's looking well dodgy outside. I mean, I know it's getting dark, but it's looking rather like snow. So I shan't be long. Before I've finished enough home. And there is a snow warning out. The problem is, when you come out of Driffield, where I live, and you head up onto the wolds, you climb and climb and climb, probably 1,500 feet, onto the very top of the wolds. Now, maybe not as much as that, but however, it's up a very steep hill, and you're climbing all the time. And then you get to a level, flat area on top of the wolds, which is up and down hills, and it just fills in with snow so quickly. I've known it. I've looked out the door, seen it started to snow. I've packed up quickly, shut everything down, and gone home, and I've only just got through. That road blocks in 30 minutes. I had a very near do last year, but I got home. So I shall be being careful, and if it's snowing tomorrow, I simply shan't be coming. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I've got that done. And now I'm going to have a crack at welding those in there. See if I can burn lots of big holes, but never mind. You have to be very fast, do tiny spot welds, and set your welder on. I've got the on my welder there's 3 tappings on the choke, which is which smooths the output of the welder, and I've got mine on the highest setting, which gives you the smoothest weld. But I shall probably shut the current weld down as well, because it still welds quite well on very low current. So let's have a crack and see what a mess we can make. Bye for now. Aye, fire's nearly burnt away. Still pumping loads of heat out though. Well, it's 4:30ish, and I've done some flanging for half an hour. Isn't that neat? Hasn't that worked well? Right, I've done that by sheer luck. I had a piece of pipe that would fit over the outside. So what I did was I took all the burrs out of the inside of it, cleaned it out a bit, and then I got one area where that pencil mark is and lowered it so that it could just fit over the rivet and drop on like that. And then I stood it up and tapped round it with a small hammer. I split it first, I split it with the tin snips, and it's worked really well. So that's given me a flange to put some tack welds on, and that's gonna be okay, I think. I'm just gonna go maybe 6 or 7 dabs on each one, and that'll do the job. So there you go. And then I think that's going to be, in fact, I might even leave that till tomorrow, because it's past the Rubicon for welding now. I don't like starting to weld and chucking sparks all over the place and then just storm straight out the door and leave the workshop. So I think I'll call that it for tonight. I think we'll have a tidy up. We'll have a tidy up and a sweep up, and I'm going home. Not through the snow. It's still not snowing, but it's looking a bit ropey. But there's a warning on for tomorrow, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. Right folks, thanks for watching. See you all tomorrow. Bye now. Well, there we are folks. I've had a reasonably good tidy up. And here's today's progress. Air filter made. Hot glued down the edge of the foam. Wire there to stop it sucking in. Bridge over. And the 2 flanges in. So that's the progress for today. The only thing I have to do tomorrow is fit those, as in tack them or solder them or whatever. And I also have a tube to put into there somewhere for the breather on the oil filler neck. There to go into. So that's what I shall do tomorrow. Right? I'm packing up and I'm going home. So if it doesn't snow, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now. Good afternoon people. It's Tuesday. It's just after lunch. Believe it or not, that's MIG welded. I didn't go for TIG because it's very difficult to get all the zinc plate off this metal, because it's very fine and very silvery, and I polished it and tried to solder it and it just wouldn't take at all, and it burnt all the plastic off. Well, it's burnt all the plastic off anyway, but I'm very confident that that is fixed forever. So there you go. Yes, I did burn a couple of holes through, but all you do when you burn a couple of holes through is you just clamp a piece of copper on the back of it and fill it up, and that works very well. Piece of copper, it can be a flattened piece of copper pipe, it doesn't need to be thick copper, but it works every time. So there you go. Right, I've got those done. Next job is to put the pipe into there for the breather, and then that is the air cleaner finished and ready to assemble, and we can move on. And the next job is going to be getting the engine started. Now I've got the air cleaner on, next job will be getting the engine started, although I might cut a bit more out of the bonnet first, just so that I can open and close the bonnet without knocking the air filters off. Right, oh yes, air filters. Let me just put these on, I'll bring you back. And there we are folks. Have you ever seen anything so ridiculous in all your life? It's a super tuned air cleaner. That won't go down over it, will it? No, it won't. We need to cut out both sides lots more. But well, we need to cut out the back side now. The front probably will need a little bit out, but maybe not much more. So there you go. Although we're hitting the bolt, aren't we? Yes, we're hitting the bolt. Right, there we go. I shall now get that, find a piece of pipe and put the pipe in for the oil breather, and that's the air filter finished. Thank goodness. I've just remembered to put the battery back on charge so that we've got a nice sharp battery for starting her up. I'm hoping that it's going to start okay with the new plugs in, and I'm hoping against hope that it's going to be okay. I can't see why it won't run reliably, because it always ran perfectly before I rebuilt it. No, it was very reliable. You just tickled the key and it started, and it was very reliable. And then it got put in the shed, and because the clutch was duff and it didn't get used again until I brought it down here and rebuilt it. So there you go. So we shall see what we shall see, but I can't see why it won't run now. Alright, I'll bring you back later. Bye now. There we are, boys and girls. 4 o'clock. We've got the breather hose on, mounted under there, connected to the breather. I'll get this off one-handed. No, it's going to come off there, isn't it? Like that. Courtesy of a conduit fitting. Luckily I have some conduit dies left over from my previous life as an electrical engineer. And it's all done. So all that requires now is a coat of paint. There we are. Which is what it's going to get right now. And then I can crack on with something else. Like putting the new plugs in and seeing if it'll start. See how loud the exhaust is. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do next. I probably won't get to it today. That's probably going to be a job for tomorrow. But I can get the new plugs put in. And I can give it a try, maybe. Alright, catch you in a bit. I'll bring you back if anything happens. Bye now. Good afternoon, peeps. It's Wednesday. And I've put a new battery lead on, which did improve things somewhat. I've doubled it up with the old one, so we've still got the old one on. And then I stripped the starter motor off. And what I found was the starter motor commutator, which I have rebuilt before. Somebody was a bit clumsy with the grease and they got grease all over the commutator. Well, what I've got to do now is I can't find the little tool I made to put these brushes back in, so I'm going to have to make another one. But basically it's a piece of tin with a slot in it so that you can hold all the brushes down, right, and then push it onto the end of the thing, pull the piece of tin out and the brushes jump out. But I made one and I would have thought that I would have just put it straight up there on one of my little shelves. But I've looked for it and I can't find it, so I'm going to make another one. But it's been a frustrating day, and I had a friend, an old mate of mine called Steve, and sometimes Steve, it would all become too much for him. He'd be working, he used to work across the road from the shop we had in Driffield, and he worked in at an agricultural engineer's, and every now and again he'd get things like chainsaws that wouldn't start, and Briggs and Stratton engines that wouldn't start, and I'd see him throw something across the workshop from the shop window, and I'd wander across the road and say, "What's up, Steve?" And he'd say, "I'm sick." I said, "Why?" He said, "I'm sick as a Skegness donkey, paddling up and down Blackpool Beach with a big fat mamma on my back up to me knackers in sand." And I think I might be having one of those days today. And what's more, tomorrow I'm not coming early because I've got to take the missus to a hospital appointment at Castle Hill to see her neurophysio, or her new neurophysio, so there you go. But I shall be here tomorrow afternoon. So I'm going to make, from this piece of tin, a special tool to hold the brushes down. And when I've made it and fitted the end cap, I'll bring you back. And I'm hoping that this is going to mean that the engine will turn a lot faster, because I've come to the conclusion that there's nothing wrong with the battery. I tried that big battery on last night. That's kept its charge really well. It's still pushing my resistance tester there. It's still pushing that to 12 volts, and I've never seen a battery that pushed that to 12 volts. Most of them make 9 volts and that's it. So that's good. And when I put that on the jumper leads onto there, it was no better. So I know that it's the starter motor. I have a couple of spare starter motors of this type, but this starter motor did used to start this engine very, very well indeed. So I'm going to rebuild it, and I've washed all the commutator off in thinners as well with the toothbrush. So that's nice and clean now. But you can't do with any grease on the comm, otherwise you just don't get the current, and it doesn't spin the engine, and that's what it's not doing. But I fixed that tailpipe on the exhaust. I just put a self-tapper in it. So that's finished. So we're getting very close now. Right, peeps, I'll bring you back when I've done it. Bye for now. and neither am I. I'm not getting despondent, don't get me wrong. I thought of taking that axe to it, but I haven't. I don't know what's going on here. Well, I do know what's going on. The starter motor hasn't got the guts to turn it over. This could be because I've rewrung it and ground the valves in, and it's now got more compression than it had. But this starter motor used to start it perfectly every time, and we used it for over a year and it was never a problem. So there's two ways forward. We're very close now. I just have this pulley mechanism to do down here, and that's job finished apart from a bit of paint. But this starter motor used to start it. Now I've just, as you've seen, stripped it and cleaned it out, cleaned the commutator, rebuilt it, and the result is it doesn't spin it over. It will not whip the engine over with the plugs in. It whips it over perfectly without the plugs in. Of course it would do because there's no compression. But this is the result. This is what we're getting. I've taken the jumper battery off, but this is what we're getting. And it's not the battery that's flat, and it's just the jumper battery on, and the starter motor is getting warm. It's not getting hot, but it's getting warm, and it's getting warm faster than I would like it to. Now, there's two ways forward now. I have a couple more of these starter motors. They're the Briggs & Stratton heavy duty 15 horsepower starter motors. Whether there are any different models or not, I don't know. I know one is different because it has the plastic gear on. Now whether the armature is the same or not, I don't know. But we obviously have a problem here. This is going to be a problem. It's going to cause problems, and I'm wondering whether I could not go back to an ordinary 2CV starter. There's certainly room to mount one there. It'll probably come out something like that, which isn't out of the way. It might not even be that big actually, but it's looking like that's what I might have to do, which would mean cutting out a starter ring in something like 3/8 plate or something like that, just to fit it, because on the 2CV the starter motor bolts up to the gearbox bell housing, so you would need a bell housing, and I haven't got one, and even if I had one I wouldn't saw a bell housing off a good gearbox to make it. That would be too destructive for me. So that's what I'm going to look at next, is a more powerful starter motor. But I may just go out into the freezing cold into my Luton store and see if I can find these other two starter motors, because I know they're in there. Yeah, I'll probably go and do that because it's 3:30 and it's getting close to packing up time. Because I'm not very enthusiastic about what's going on today. But never mind. These things are sent to try us, and we shall overcome. Bye now. Well, there we are, folks. Wednesday, 4:30. It won't start, but it's got a fabulous air cleaner. I've just finished cutting the... I've cut the bonnet so that the bonnet now opens and closes over the air cleaner. I'm going to put a cowl over the lot, just over there like that, with a strip of metal or a couple of strips of metal down the front, so that if Keith gets aboard any bushes, which he will, it'll slide over the top and hit him in the face, which is what happens. Right? I maybe ought to put a safety cab on it for him to drive it, but then he'll look at me, mainly me that's driving it anyway. He'll stay on the other one and cut the grass. But there we are, it fits. Nice little cowl over there, probably up, across and down. Take it back to there. Could even have a vent there, a flap and a vent to let the engine heat out to warm the driver. How ridiculous is that? But as you can tell, I'm pissed off, but I'm not that pissed off. I just can't understand. That starter used to start it beautifully every time. The only thing I can think of is that I've repaired the engine now and it's got loads of compression, and it's not up to it anymore. I found another starter in the shed. It's a Briggs & Stratton one. You would know it, of course. It's a different fitting altogether, so I couldn't exchange it for that one. I could, well, I don't even know if I could do that. It's got a different, the thing is, it's got a different starter gear on it, different inertia gear on it. It's got the plastic inertia gear. Can you imagine that working? But it does. And it's also larger inertia gear, so I don't know whether it'll fit. But if I get back tomorrow after the Aussie, I might give it a try. In the meantime, tonight I'm going to research a proper 2CV starter for it, because I know they're not expensive. They really aren't expensive. So there you go. Right, that's it for Wednesday, folks. 4:30 gone. The fire's going out. It's still nice and warm in here, but I'm going home. Yeah, it's going out. There we go. Right, I'll maybe see you all tomorrow afternoon for more fun and games, and I shall be really glad to see the back of this tractor. Although, when I've finished this, everything else I've got to do is absolutely simple by comparison. I think maybe I've pushed the boat too far with this, really. But the thing is, it's such a good little tractor. It's so well built. It's so well made. It's got a proper gearbox in the rear axle. High and low ratio. You know, proper cast iron front axle. The steering is really smooth. It's very poor on the mouthfeeds, but on this the steering's really good. It's got a 50mm ball hitch at the back, so we can tow a trailer with it. You know, it's more versatile. And it will go to places that the big one won't. That's the thing with it. It'll really go to places the big one won't. Anyway, I'm wrapping it up for today, folks. I'll see you all tomorrow afternoon. Bye for now. Good evening, everybody. It's Friday evening. After yesterday's traumatic fight through the ice and slush to Castle Hill Hospital, I didn't feel like doing anything in the afternoon, so I didn't bother going in. I've been in today to the workshop and taken the starter off, but unfortunately I forgot to take the camera with me, so we've got no footage of it, but it wasn't very exciting anyway. I've been round all the usual suspects trying to get a starter of any sort, because it has to be fitted to the tractor, because the starter on a 2CV bolts into the gearbox. So with not having the 2CV gearbox on it, I haven't got a flange to bolt it up to. So what I've done, after checking all the usual suspects and coming up a blank for any sort of starter motor, I've ordered one off the internet, and to my astonishment I ordered it today, and it's going to be here tomorrow. So we'll be fitting that early next week, which will involve some engineering, because obviously the Briggs & Stratton starter motor I've been using isn't powerful enough, and I'm going to have to make some sort of flange for it to bolt onto the engine. But that's all going to be the excitement next week, provided the weather's good, because it's given heavy snow for tonight and tomorrow, and more next week. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see if I can get it done. Anything else interesting and exciting happened? No, I don't really think there has. No, I think that'll do. It's dark, it's cold, it's suddenly coming cold outside, and it looks like the weather's going to shut down completely. So, thanks for watching, thanks all for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, get your subscription in. It doesn't cost anything and it helps me enormously. And I'll see you all next week when we make a flange for the new starter. Okay, bye for now.